Oh, Jordan Love. Justin Fields.
No, Jordan,
28.
Over Sam Howell?
Dude,
Jordan Love had some film.
Jordan Love sucks.
Yeah.
They both have about the same amount of film.
Oh, this would be perfect, and then you can go right into it if we just keep trying to guess.
Fields is higher than Love.
Fields is good.
No.
I don't know. I'm messing.
I can actually rally out.
Is it Brock Purdy?
I can rally out some stats about.
I get big Jalen Hurts vibes.
Is it Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy is not 32.
He's not starting.
Yes, he
it's Trey
is.
Lance. It's Trey Lance.
He's also not starting.
Brock Purdy's
Oh,
the starter.
32 is Desmond Ridder.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot about
And
that.
that's
Oh, dude, that would have made it.
But that makes sense. He sucked at Cincinnati. He sucks now, so.
he is the sole reason that team might suck. I mean, they have a decent roster and a good coaching staff, and
He
that
didn't
team might
suck at
suck.
Cincinnati, though. Yeah, he got him to the playoffs.
But hi guys, this is Brody with the Four Corners Podcast. We got Cooper, Zane, and Tommy all here today.
How you doing?
How we doing, Brody?
I'm doing good. We'll start off with the talk about my top 32 quarterback rankings, and then we'll go into Tommy's segment about the NHL draft. Zane's going to do a segment about Detroit baseball and basketball. We got if you're in or if you're out on the Tigers and Pistons. And then Cooper has an all-star game ballot.
Yeah.
And that's going to be his segment.
Yeah, we are excited. The inaugural podcast of the Four Corners.
So it sounds good. Let's get into it, Brody.
So as we were just talking about, we have Desmond Ridder as my 32nd ranked quarterback going into the season.
Solid pick. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. Dude's just bad. There's no other way to put it.
We got Howell.
Cincinnati legend, though. Don't forget him.
For sure.
They did go to the playoff.
We got
him or Sauce.
It was Sauce.
It was Sauce.
No, it was off-brand Kobe Bryant.
We got Howell at 31. Put some decent film last year, but if you go back, when a guy hasn't played that much in the NFL, you got to watch some college tape.
Bro did beat the Cowboys.
I feel like Howell's just a worse Baker Mayfield.
Well, Baker Mayfield's 30, so
I might
agree
take
with
Howell
that.
over Mayfield.
I really agree with that.
Dude, they look the exact same,
I'm
and
the same person.
they play the same. They're
taking
just
Howell
on
over
different teams.
Mayfield comes out and plays like a decent game against the Raiders,
but
and then
hear
just
me
shits
out.
the bed the rest of the
Hear
season.
me out. You get Howell, you're not getting all the this drama that you would get with Mayfield. You know what I mean? That's why I'm taking Howell over Mayfield, in my opinion.
And then at 29, this is a guy I'm really excited about, but we got Anthony Richardson. His passing, I mean, we saw how bad Fields was as a passer last year. He was an elite rusher, and he made that rushing offense amazing.
Really good upside. I like that pick, bro.
But Anthony Richardson is probably going to be a worse passer in his first season than Fields will be in his second season. But I got him above some of these other guys who he might be worse on passing because he's going to make the Colts a top 3 rushing offense. And if he stays healthy all year, I almost guarantee they're top 3. And I think the only teams that really compete with him, you got the Falcons, you got the Eagles, you got the Bears. And those 4, I think, are all going to be the top 4. And I think the Colts, they could very well be number 1. They have the second best offensive line out of that group. They got the best rushing quarterback. And they might have the best running. They have the best running back. I'm gonna take Jonathan Taylor over Bijan, even though Bijan's, we know how good he is.
I think you're kind of underrating his throwing ability. You didn't see him hit the roof at his pro day.
Yeah, I think
you didn't see that.
Yeah, there are a lot of NFL quarterbacks.
Hey, that roof was wide open, man. That roof was wide open.
Yeah,
right in the hands.
Yeah, there wasn't a hook defender just waiting for that ball to go right in his hands. There was it. And then we got Jordan Love at 28. He's put some interesting film on, and I think he could come out and just totally shit the bed. He could really jump this list by the end of the season.
I'm pretty high on Jordan Love myself. In the one game he started last year, I saw a lot of good things from him. I mean, granted, it was some slant routes, and then Christian Watson just doing the rest of the work. But I think people are haters for almost no reason on him. But we haven't seen too much. So
I'm not a hater on him just because I'm a Lions fan. I just saw what he did. He threw it. I would say Tracy Walker was wide open on that route that he ran, covering. But Tracy Walker, he was wide open. Jordan Love threw him a perfect pass for a pick 6. We didn't make playoffs that year, so I can't really talk too much. But yeah, I'm looking for Jordan Love to maybe lead his team to maybe 4 wins and absolutely getting obliterated by the Lions this year. So.
Yeah, the thing about Jordan Love, I saw him play at Utah State against Michigan State, and he looked very good then, but he also kind of he had that college quarterback feel to where he was only be good in college. So, and we also think that Jordan Love's just not going to be good because we've only seen 2 Packers quarterbacks in the last 25 years. So, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's hard to follow up 2 Hall of Fame
Branching
quarterbacks.
off that, if they have if Jordan Love is elite, if they have 35-ish years with Love coming as an elite quarterback play, I'm gonna jump off the balcony.
Yeah. Us in Detroit, we need something to go our way for
I
once.
think a lot of the Love hate comes from people wanting them to try and win now with that pick instead of taking nice instead of taking a receiver, for instance, in that spot where they took Love. And then at 27
Dude, they
on
had
the list,
Njigba in their hands, dude, and they let him go.
well, I'm talking about
In their
3 or 4
hands.
years ago when they drafted Jordan
Oh,
Love.
no, I'm not. I'm talking about this year. You
Yeah.
have Jordan Love, and you didn't get him any weapons.
I think Lucas Van Ness is the right pick.
But didn't they draft 2 tight ends?
They did. They took Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State and Luke Musgrave, who I would have much rather us taken. But at 27, I got Kenny Pickett. He showed some flashes, but I'm gonna need some more consistency.
Hands are too small, right?
Yeah. You can't grip the ball in that Pittsburgh weather, huh?
I know a lot of Steelers fans are high on him, but that's probably just home recency. But you can't go wrong under Tomlin. I think they're gonna go 9-8 even with Pickett and him being this low.
All right, I know this might be off topic, but do you guys like George Pickens? Or to me personally, I think he's a little bit overrated because he made that sweet one-handed grab. I don't think he is as explosive as a playmaker that people are making him sound. I think he's a little bit overrated just from that one highlight play he's had. But that's just me. I just want your guys' thoughts on it real quick.
I just think everyone likes his NFL young boy activities. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
that's why everyone's such a fan of George Pickens. But
He had one catch and people were saying he's the next Odell. It's like, dude.
well,
I think he consistently was really good. He showed really good hands last year, and he's
yeah,
never
he's
going to be
one of-
this elite separator. But
He is, to your point, a great hands catcher, and we don't really see guys like that coming out anymore.
To link it back into the topic, though, the reason he's having to make these spectacular catches are
It's just
bad
Pickens.
throws by Kenny.
well, he also had Mitchell Trubisky quarterbacking him for the first
Dude,
half of the
I'm
season.
high on Mitch Trubisky, bro.
Oh,
Well, believe it or not, the record was better with him on the bench. And then
He won a title with the Bears, right?
at 26,
MVP. Division,
at 26, I got Brock Purdy. You know, he proved a lot last year, but he's still. I got a huge tier of win with, not because of quarterbacks, and he's right at the end of this. He's after the young guys. He's there.
And I feel like you have to try to fail in that system. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, he does a good job with quarterbacks.
Most loaded roster in the NFL.
He made Jimmy G look good consistently. Consistently.
yeah. Brock Purdy's just spoon fed. He is a decent
Oh my.
he is a decent quarterback, but I mean, you just when you just throw an out route to Debo and Debo takes it 70 yards, or you throw a 10-yard dig to George Kittle and George Kittle gets 30 yards out of it, or just hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, there's nothing really special.
Hey, by the way, did you guys see what George Kittle said on Sam Laporta?
Well, I mean, I think that's just Iowa on Iowa love.
Yeah. And the Iowa tight end talking good about an Iowa tight end. That's a
There
shocker
definitely is some
there.
bias in there, but I also think there's some truth in his voice. You know, he sounded genuine in my opinion.
Iowa-
George Kittle's just a genuine guy.
Iowa
Well, you
is
just said
tight
he's
end
biased,
U.
which is,
There's definitely bias in there.
is
There's
he
genuine
biased
people.
or is he genuine?
Genuine people are naturally biased. Everybody's naturally biased.
Fair enough.
And at 25 here, we got we got CJ Stroud.
Go.
Yucky.
And as annoying as it is, I have to talk optimistically about him because he has a decently high upside. I think he'd be a top 12, top 10 quarterback in the future if he can get adjusted to not having everybody else around him be so much better than them at their job. His wide receiver core this year is quite literally going to be worse than it was last year.
At Ohio State.
And that's going to be a huge adjustment for him.
He's my fantasy pick this year, though.
But he does have some talented players, and he's very accurate, and he's got 2 tackles that are really good. Titus Howard and Lermiton, so are really going to protect him, and I think that's going to help him a lot.
I sadly have to agree with that as well. I think he's going to be the Ohio State quarterback that actually does something in the league, unlike the past decade. I believe he was the most accurate quarterback in this draft. But yeah, it's going to be a big adjustment for him.
See, when you say that, though, about the Ohio State quarterbacks, Stroud was the only Ohio State quarterback that was taken top 10. So, because Fields was at 11, correct?
Yeah, but he was projected.
He went above Michael Parsons.
So, it's, we give Ohio State quarterbacks all this mess, but like and all this shit, but none of them are supposed to have the upside that Stroud is. You know, like getting taken in the 3rd round, that's just a flyer. And if they didn't work out and they get converted to a punter,
maybe just as
that does look bad.
just as Michigan fans were sick of and tired of hearing how good they are, and then just watching them flop in the NFL.
But I feel like to Zane's point, like Cardell Jones and JT Barrett and Braxton Miller literally played. He literally played receiver in the NFL. Like I don't think these quarterbacks are getting super hyped up. Besides the Fields and Stroud.
They didn't have a quarterback. Who was that guy from Michigan that was running back converted? He was on the cover NCAA 14.
Denard Robinson.
Yeah, Denard Robinson. He wasn't a quarterback, right? He was a running back that just played quarterback.
He played running back in the NFL with the Jags.
Right, and where was he drafted at?
He was in the
Late.
2nd round.
So it's like
he was late.
It's like, would you say he was a bust? In my opinion, I would say no.
Well, yeah, I mean a 6th round guy, you don't really expect much
It's
from him.
like
But next up, we got talking about Tommy's guy, Justin Fields. We got him at 24th. He carried this Bears offense to like not being totally terrible, but a lot of what he did was his legs. He made them. I think it was the 2nd best rushing offense in DVOA behind only the Eagles, and that was a lot. That was a lot to do with him. Their offensive line was terrible. Montgomery was good, but that was about it. But if you pull up the passing stats, I mean they're pretty bad. One of the biggest ones that stuck out to me was his time to throw was 3.5 seconds. There was only one other quarterback with a above 3.03, I believe, and that's a big issue. And then they talk about how bad his offensive line was, and that's why he was taking sacks. Well, when you take 0.5 extra seconds to throw the ball, you're going to take more sacks, and you're going to allow more pressure and make your offensive line look worse.
Can I ask you a question though, real quick?
Shoot.
So you have Fields so low, but didn't you just say you have all these guys that you win in spite of instead of because of? I feel like the Bears had 3 wins last year, but I feel like all those 3 wins were because of Justin Fields. I feel like he had no weapons. I'm not even saying he had a bad offensive line. He had no offensive line. Like as soon as that ball was snapped, there was like he had nothing to do.
I was actually relatively optimistic about some of their offensive line pieces, so I'd have to disagree with that.
But it's just when everything breaks down, he's got an elite trait, and it's to run the ball. I feel like there's
running back.
But there's some quarterbacks out there that they're just mid all around. Kirk Cousins, but
Kirk Cousins gets the job done though. Except in prime time.
You give Justin Fields Jay Jettis and you'll get the job
Well,
done.
my rebuttal to you is I think if you say he won all those 3 games, which I don't think he did. I would say I think he lost more of the 14 losses, like more of the portion of the 14 losses than he won of the games that they did win.
He himself lost all those.
Well, if you're saying he
Not
himself,
the
you could keep that arrogant. You could keep that arrogant attitude about he himself won all those 3 games.
But I'm just saying though, like I feel like that's a little low. And you're saying you have all these quarterbacks that you win in spite of, not because of. That's all my point was.
Okay, I understand. He was a bottom 3 passer in the league last year.
That's fair, but with no
I'm
weapons.
giving
With no
him.
weapons. I
I'm
feel like
giving
it'll
him.
be-
I'm giving him
top 10 wins
5
this year.
spots because of his rushing ability.
I can't say that. Top 15.
I
I'm
wouldn't
calling it
disagree
right
with that. He's an
Calling it right
improved. But here's the thing with me is he could put up better numbers and still be the same player because of the improved supporting cast. 'Cause, like what I'm looking for is him to actually take strides as a player compared to just his numbers going up because he got DJ Moore. He has a better offensive line. His numbers are going to go up no matter what.
Right.
And I want to see him take strides as a player. I don't think people really understand what that looks like.
Gotcha.
I will say I will see improvement. I want to see improvement in Justin Fields. I've been a supporter of Justin Fields, and I get that his receiving core at Ohio State, again with Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't even see the field at that time. Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba. All those guys were on the field. All those guys being on the field is just like he would have like a top 4 receiving core in the NFL in college. So now that he's in the NFL with worse people, I mean, we see that he can throw it at Ohio State. Now let's see if he can keep that with DJ Moore.
Yeah, that's kind of the things that slightly worry me about Stroud. And at 22, and we're gonna try and crank a little out here because we're kind of running out on time. We got from 15 to 22, we got 15 Cousins, 16 Carr, who is not in the win with, not because of tier, but he played like ass last year, so I had to demo him a little bit. Goff at 17, Tua at 18, Tannehill at 19. Fun fact about him is the Titans were 6-6 with him starting and 1-4 without him, and every team they lost to when he played was in the playoffs. Like, the Titans are not – they're getting a little slept on this year. They're not that bad of a football team. Then at 20, we got Daniel Jones. 21 is Jimmy G. And 22 is Mac Jones, all with the win with, not because of tier. Then at 23, rookies normally struggle at quarterback, but I'm really hoping Bryce Young can make a play. I mean, that Panthers defense is pretty damn good. And their offense, they got – their weapons aren't the best, but they got a really good offensive line. And I'm interested to see.
Year take? It's your player?
Bijan Robinson has not entered the chat.
I'm taking Bijan.
I'm not gonna lie. I might take JSN. I know he's with DK and Tyler Lockett, but I think he'll put up some good numbers.
He's gonna put up good numbers, but yeah, I don't know how much balls he's gonna get. Pause, but it's gonna be hard for him to get targets. I mean, he's got Noah Fant too, and they just drafted Kenneth Walker or just drafted Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker had a great rookie year. They do want to run the ball. It's just gonna be hard for him to put up the production, but he might be the best rookie, but I don't know if he'll put up the production and win the award. And at 14 here, we got Russell Wilson, and I have the same. Him and Deshaun Watson are ranked differently, but I have the same kind of things with them. Is last year they looked like total shit, and I mean, there's not really much else you can say, but
we know how good they are.
We know they've proved over the years how good they have been, and when you have Nathaniel Hackett and everybody comes out pretty much says that he blows at his job, like Urban Meyer did with Lawrence, and we saw the leaps he took. You don't know if it's his fault or if it's Hackett's fault, but based off the way he played, you got to move him down from where he was coming into the year.
And when Hackett did get fired, I don't know if it was like the urge to play like better, but he played better when Hackett did get fired. So.
And then we got Geno here, and I think we all love Geno. I like him just for fantasy.
Comeback player of the year.
For fantasy references, his offense just got a lot better, and his supporting cast got a lot better, and his offensive line that's super young. Charles Cross, Abraham Lucas, and the tackles. I mean, they have another year of experience, and those guys are hopefully going to be good players for them. I think for fantasy references, I like that.
I agree, especially just like he gets another year in the offense. Like you said, everyone's gotten better, and it is still Pete Carroll, one of the great head coaches in the league. I think he's going to do great things this year.
And he has JSN,
who I think fits that offense perfectly. You have two guys that can take off the top, and Lockett and Metcalf, and you have JSN who can fill in that slot role.
And then you have a vertical field stretcher, Noah Fant as well, and that's a pretty difficult offense to defend, especially with how well they can run the wide zone.
Noah Fant was an Iowa tight end, right?
Yes, he was, and now they're going to implement some more gap schemes with Charbonnet, and that's going to be a tough team to stop. And then at 12 we got Dak, and all I have to say is just a put up or shut up year for Dak and the Cowboys in general.
Dak is very talented, but my goodness, the things, the throws that he tries to do, like this man thinks that he can just do anything with the ball, and it's not gonna go through the DB's hands like it's Madden.
He has the Josh Allen, fuck it, I'm Josh Allen mentality, but his arm is like a third of what Josh Allen's is, so it's like, well, fuck it, I'm Dak Prescott, and I just do a pick six.
And without Schultz, I feel like it will be harder for Dak.
I disagree because he got Brandon Cooks.
I feel like there's some games where the MVP of that game is Dak Prescott, but for the other team. You know what I mean? Like that playoff game.
The 49ers.
Yeah, he just...
The Commanders.
Yeah, and he threw that pick. I was like, dude, what are you doing, man?
D'Amico Ryans had that. He had that whole offense.
No, there was a good... That was, yeah, I mean, it is the 49ers.
It was 19-12. Like, no offenses were doing anything. There was one throw on, like, 3rd and 9 where Dak did put it on the money to CD, but also that's CD Lamb being CD Lamb, so...
I feel like the Cowboys are, like Cowboys fans and the Cowboys, like, organization is, like, a better version of the Lions organization. It's always their year until it's not. Like, the difference between the Lions and the Cowboys is the Cowboys make the playoffs, but they never make it far in the playoffs.
And the Lions just suck.
Yeah, the Lions just suck.
We're optimistic.
Until this year.
Us Lions fans are optimistic. Those Cowboy fans are delusional. There's a difference.
We'll have a different segment about the Lions for this season.
I've been optimistic on the Lions for quite a few years. So.
And I say I'm pretty realistically optimistic, as I'd put it. I try to stay pretty neutral with my takes, but I think this is going to be a fun season for Lions fans. And at Watson, I got the same thing with Wilson as I said earlier. He's shown so many flashes of how good he was, but the film last year was fucking abysmal. And there's no other way around it.
I like that.
There's
Not. I'm sorry. I like how you described that.
He's at 11, by the way. I forgot to mention that.
There's really no other way to put Deshaun Watson. I mean, he was top 5, and then he had the allegations, and he
You can't
just
forget how to play the quarterback position. Like,
yeah, no,
you know,
that's
Well,
what
you're using your hands to touch masseuses and not throwing a ball, so.
Okay, he just had all that time off. That's what killed him. You know, he spent too much time on a massaging board, not enough time on the field. He'll fix that next year.
Yeah. And at 10, I got Matthew Stafford, and this
Oh,
is a
you got
guy.
a top 10.
This are you? Who below do you think's better than him? Like genuinely.
I don't totally disagree with this, but it's gonna be tough, especially with his age and like
Yeah.
coming off an injury to keep up with the production and like everything he's done in the past. I agree with the selection as of right now, but I think later in the season we are definitely gonna see a major drop off from him.
I agree completely. I think he's one of the more guys that's trending down, but based off what he's done, and I mean he won a Super Bowl with a team that was good, but they had absolutely zero run game. Like they're the quarterbacks. All the tiers from 15 to 22 are the win with, not because of those guys are not winning the Rams or Super Bowl that year. They had no run game, and he also was responsible for one of the two best receiving seasons in the history of football. And he's 1 year removed off playing absolutely amazing. I think we can't disregard that. When he's on his hot streak, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But when he's on his cold streaks, it's pretty bad.
I like it, Brody. What's next?
We got Murray. We got Murray at 9.
You got Kyler Murray at 9.
We were actually,
I see.
me and Cooper just like leaned in, like we were talking about Kyler when we were talking about Stafford. And I was like, well, where is Kyler?
I see. I think Kyler is a top 10 talent, but I also think he's a top 5 cancer. You know, he's just such a cancer to his team. I don't know if I could put him in the top 10.
Well, I'm ranking based off on the field abilities instead of besides some of the other stuff. You know, Watson would probably be a little lower if we were ranking off other things.
Off cancer.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
First off, Kyler Murray. Shout out to all the short kings right there. Kyler Murray is my spirit animal because we need more players under 6 foot. Okay, they get the job done, and
Sometimes.
you know, he is great. And then like the new Call of Duty game comes out, and his play just declines so bad. So
See, but he also, when a play breaks down, he does, like I said with Justin Fields, elite ability to escape the pocket and run. And I always will like value that, especially in the NFL.
To add on that, I think he has like when he's on his game, he plays like a Lamar Jackson, but when he's off his game, he plays like a worse Justin Fields. So it's always a wonder of what Kyler Murray are you getting, and that's when he's healthy too. And he's got to learn, or not learn, but he's got to just be able to stay healthy.
I don't think him when he's off his game is worse than Justin Fields. As a passer, he still strides better, and he is a little worse as a rusher. But he brings a team that is absolutely terrible in the ground game, and he brings them to decent numbers when he's on the field. And that is his biggest concern is can he stay healthy for a full season. And at number 8, if you guys know what's coming when I say this is going to ruffle some feathers. I got Jalen Hurts.
I agree with you because Jalen Hurts had a great receiving cast around him to be able to bail him out of a lot of throws. I'm not doubting his talent, but again, it's one of those guys that are an incredible rusher and maybe a little less on the throwing side.
Great QB sneaker, best in the league.
But yeah, I completely agree with this actually.
See, I know. Again, you're not gonna like this, but I know you're saying how you go for play on the field, but I feel like he just needs some more respect just because of his Super Bowl. But I know you're going to play on the field, and I respect that, and I can see why you got him at 8.
I respect that. If it wasn't for his Super Bowl, he'd probably be at 10. But that was a amazingly played game.
I agree with that.
Besides the fact that he just looked at Andy Reid and gifted him a touchdown, just dropping the ball. But
you asked me or Brody this question this time last year. We say Jalen Hurts is like 15, 16.
I was not high on Jalen Hurts
I think
at all.
he proved a lot this year.
he was probably bottom 5 for me. And I think his his film going into last year was absolutely abysmal, and I think he was good in fantasy. So he got majorly overrated because of that, and I think that's exactly what's happening with Fields. But last year he put up phenomenal numbers, and he took huge strides. Like we talked about the Fields thing earlier. He was going to put up better numbers, but he blew those expectations out of proportions while looking way better. But he was also in the most quarterback-friendly offense in the league by a mile.
I was just going to bring that up. I was going to ask you guys a question. Do you think it's more Jalen Hurts or more of a Brock Purdy effect with his roster is just so stacked? You know, like probably the best offensive line in the league.
And only
Great receiving core. You know, very good defense. Do you guys? I just heard you talking about that. I was started thinking. I was like, man, it's probably more of a Brock Purdy effect and just having that great roster over his play.
I think that's why I have him at 8. But a little fun fact too is the quarterback coach that's getting recognition for developing Jalen Hurts is Shane Steichen, and he's now in the Colts with Anthony Richardson. So I think that's going to be super fun. At 7 and 6, we're going to try and go quick here. We got Rodgers. He still was the back-to-back MVP before last year. That team was a train wreck last year, and they won 9
one of those
games.
MVPs. It's still A-Rod. I mean, as a Lions fan, we're supposed to hate him, but
I
you
hate
can't
him,
deny.
but I
You
respect
can't
him.
deny his talent.
Last ever throw as a Packer was an interception. So that's all I'm gonna say.
To our guy.
Yeah.
And at 6, we got Lamar. I'm not going to say this. I think this is going to be a breakout year for him because he already won the MVP, but he just got an offensive coordinator that has like modern passing concepts, not shit that they would run with the fucking wing T. And Todd Monken's going to do great things, even though Greg Roman was a fantastic run game designer. But they also added OBJ and Zay Flowers, and I think Bateman he's still a good player. I just think
Bateman is very good. Very slept on at Minnesota. He was very good.
But if you look at those 3 players along with Mark Andrews, I think that's a decent core of weapons, and I think he's going to put up some really good numbers this year.
Agree. That's all I really have to say.
I'm very high on Zay Flowers too. Very high on him. I loved him coming out of college.
And at 5, I could only put him so high. I wanted to put him at 1 just because I got Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, okay.
And I just huge strides he took this year, and I think the biggest strides were from like week 7 or 8 onwards. He was lights out until the first half of the Chargers game, which we're gonna ignore. But the second half, he came back,
Ended up winning.
But I think Tommy, everybody here can actually abide by me on this when I say people were putting him in like the 20s and maybe like 30 on their quarterbacks list going into last year, and I had him in like the mid-teens based off the back end of his film from his rookie season was way better than I thought than a lot of people, and Meyer held him down, and I actually
He did.
fortunately enough was right so far based off what we saw last year.
I actually just pulled up my QB rankings from last year, and I have him at 25. So, yeah.
I wasn't very high on Trevor Lawrence last year. I still think he's a little overrated, but I would have him top 5. But you know, it's more of like who else you gonna put in front of him type deal. I do think he's a little
I'm
overrated.
just gonna put this out there too. There are like 27 quarterbacks that like I wouldn't be mad if they were starting for me. Like there's a lot of good quarterbacks.
Right.
And at 4 here, I got Justin Herbert, and Lombardi is gone, and I think he's gonna blow his like if you're a gambling guy, I would take his over on passing yards and prize picks, and I would just hammer it. Because you got a guy they checked on more than any team in the NFL last year with Justin Herbert, and I know they don't have a lot of explosive receiving threats, but they just added one of the fastest receivers from the draft in Darius Days. And then they added Quentin Johnston, who is a downfield threat. And I think this offense, getting Lombardi out of there too, I think this offense is going to get a lot more explosive, and I think it's going to be a fun thing to watch. And then the top 3 is the group that's significantly better than everybody else, even though Mahomes is kind of
The elites.
Mahomes is better than the other 2. But at 3 we got
He's not much
Allen.
better than Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Okay, I agree. With that.
At 3 we got Allen. He was 2 going into the year. He still was Josh Allen in the. He was still Josh Allen. He was still Josh Allen in the running game. I mean, he accounted for 35% of the team's rushing yards.
Oh, he is their running game. He is their running game.
And
I mean, you look at their running backs. You have Singletary, Moss,
Who was that?
Hines,
That guy out
James
of
Cook.
Georgia.
James Cook. Yeah.
And Singletary's gone, and he was their best player. He's the best running back. But but you look first year play caller, Ken Dorsey. Hopefully he does better this year because I think every like NFL fan that isn't an AFC East fan likes the Bills, or at least is rooting for them because
Bills Mafia.
like you can't hate that fan base. And they drafted Dalton Kincaid, who these guys know I'm very high on. I think he's going to be a great playmaker for that offense. And hopefully Khalil Shakir gets some more looks. But those interceptions last year, I think they're slightly overrated
Well, he
stat,
lost
but they were bad.
He lost Dable.
And I think
I
was
think
the
that's
big
a
difference. Yes.
huge piece to why you saw him drop off last year.
Going from Dable to Dorsey, and
Right.
Dable
Dable
made
to
Daniel
Dorsey.
Jones look so good that they gave him $40 million.
And they still haven't paid Saquon.
Yeah. And at 2 we got Burrow. I mean, I know the modern day Tom Brady comparisons are kind of crazy, but that's what he does. He is the smartest quarterback in the league. He is the most precise and accurate quarterback in the league, and that's why.
About taking a pay cut. You give Burrow a pay cut, I'm telling you, that team's gonna be scary for a long time.
And that's why he's number 2, is because of how accurate and dominant he is mentally. He is not the most physically dominant, but he does have a good arm, and he is mobile, and he can escape. But talk about mobile and escapability is Mahomes, who he is just on another level. Take Josh Allen, take out the turnovers, and make him significantly more accurate, and that's who you have. And probably Josh Allen's better in the running game, but I would say Mahomes' pocket maneuverability is significantly better than Josh Allen's.
Allen's a better runner.
Yes.
Mahomes is a better escaper or eluder. He has a way of eluding the pocket better and finding lanes to throw than Allen is. When Allen he runs, he just puts his head down and goes. He doesn't really. I mean, he does a little bit, but I don't think he keeps his eyes downfield like he does like Mahomes.
But I respect the shit of it because it's fun to watch.
No, it's awesome. When he's trucking linebackers, it's awesome. Hurdling people.
It reminds me of the clip where I think it was Stephen Tulloch that Matthew Stafford runs through for the first down and Ford Field just explodes, and that's Josh Allen like every game.
Watching like Mahomes in the NFL is like watching Burrow and Trevor Lawrence in college. Like the way like they could just see defenders in the back of their head and just roll out of it like it was nothing and basically predict what like all the college defenders were going to do. Mahomes does that at a professional level, and it's just incredible to watch.
And I think you could describe Mahomes as generational. And speaking about generational, we're going to go into Tommy's segment here about the NHL draft.
Big pickup for my Blackhawks.
Yeah, Connor Bedard, number 1. I don't think there was really much question there. Really the most talented offensive guy. Like 150-something points and 70-something games. You can't pass that up.
Yeah, I am very happy that the Blackhawks landed the lottery. I kind of do think it's a little scripted, and it made one of the original 6 teams good because the Blackhawks have been so bad for the last 3 years. But it does not hurt me one bit. I'm so happy to have this guy, and I'm glad we picked up Taylor Hall from the Bruins, and hopefully we can cook up some magic.
And can you explain to our guys that aren't huge NHLers how amazing this draft class is from top to bottom?
I wouldn't say like all top to bottom. I think it's very, very good, but I don't think it's in, like one of the better ones we've seen. But you have guys like Bedard, Mitchkov, Leo Carlson, Will Smith, all these guys. Adam Fantilli, completely forgot about him. These guys could all be considered under generational talent, and that in hockey, I wouldn't say that phrase is used very lightly. But yeah, this is, especially in the first round, outside the top 5, which I just mentioned, it could really go anywhere. So yeah.
And I was just talking to my dad earlier about how Fantilli and Carlson, like Fantilli's going 1 in most draft classes, Carlson's going 1 in most draft classes, and Mitchkov is probably more talented than both of them. And that's maybe the draft isn't as top to bottom amazing as I said it was. But if you're talking about the first 10 picks, this might be the first 10 picks, best first 10 picks we've seen in a while.
Mitchkov is the Russian, right?
Yes.
Do you guys buy into, because he's got 3 years left, and do you guys buy into all that? How he's still under contract?
Yes, because he fell to 7 because of it.
Absolutely. But the crazy thing is, like, I was at work when the draft was happening. I was getting updates from my dad. I had him at 5. He probably should have gone at 4. I'll show you my big board. This was my big board I put together last night. I had him at going 5, but theoretically he probably should have gone 4 or even 1. Like, I heard talks right before the draft that at 1 because the Chicago Blackhawks are not at a win now team. They're not a win now team. They're going to be good in like 3 to 4 years, which is exactly when Mitchkov would be coming into the league. You don't want to waste Connor Bedard's ability in the AHL, not wasting his ELC. but you're going to have to now, or you're going to have to play him, and then you're going to have to just sign him to an extension even earlier.
And I know he said he whipped this, just for clarification, I know he said he whipped this big board up last night, but this was like countless hours of him watching film to put into it. He put the big board together last night, but this was like hours and hours of film. He was really well respected within our group of people about his hockey knowledge.
So, enough about Bedard. At number 2, Leo Carlson, which I am not shocked at. I know I have him at 3 on my big board, but Leo Carlson is the most complete player in this draft. He is the best two-way player. He's like incredibly gifted offensively. His ability to like draw in defenders and like predict where they're going and find the open man is just it separates him from everyone else. And then his defensive ability too is not to be overlooked. But yeah, then at 3, you got Adam Fantilli, Michigan boy. We love him. Like Brody said earlier, if it weren't for Bedard, he'd be going number 1 in a ton of drafts. He's just another one of those guys who is gifted offensively, similar to Bedard, but just not Bedard, if that makes any sense.
Poor man's Bedard.
Essentially, if that's how you want to put it.
That's probably bad phrasing, but you know that he's so good.
Now, Will Smith.
Tommy, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So, as you know, I'm not the best. I don't know a lot about hockey. I watch the Wings, but you know, I like playoff hockey. I watch the Wings when they get in the playoffs. Do you like the pick we made or picks?
So I was actually, I was gonna go into that. I was gonna go through my top 5 though first.
Okay.
Yeah. So the top 3 were all in my top 5. But where it gets interesting is actually at 5, but I'm going to go through Will Smith first.
Stud.
Yeah, absolute stud. Will Smith, I have as very creative offensively and also reliable defensively. Just going back and forth, like comparing Fantilli to Bedard, you can compare Will Smith to Leo Carlson. It's another 6-foot guy, very, very good offensive and defensively, can play all 3 zones really well. And then at my 5 and where the draft went is where it begins to differ. I had Michkov at 5, but I think looking back in 10 years, Michkov could be the best player from this draft. I think you can see instant production when he comes back, much like Kirill Kaprizov. And I know there was controversy with his Rookie of the Year, but I think we can see like the exact same thing.
Can we talk about the Flyers for a quick second? Trading off so many players, and they're going to tank. They're going to do what you like prompted about the Blackhawks, and they're going to tank for these years. Michkov's going to come back. They're going to get all this salary off, and they're going to be locked and loaded. They're long-term playing.
The Flyers are definitely a team to look out for when Michkov gets there, because they're going to be, like you said, they're going to be tanking. They're probably going to get a lottery pick next year. But yeah. Montreal taking David Ryan. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a defenseman from Sweden.
Those are the best defensemen, the ones you can't pronounce their names.
We had it. We drafted, and I believe we drafted the better defenseman from Sweden. I think it was 11 picks later.
Yeah.
At 17.
Yeah.
Sweden guys.
I mean, Detroit's. You got Seider, who played in Sweden, even though he's German. You have
Raymond
Edmondson, all played in Sweden.
Sweden?
Casper played in Sweden.
I knew that, but I didn't know if he was.
I like that.
So
I'm still on the Yzer plan.
I think we all are. I think there's
like,
no hot match
I
that
think if Stevie Y brings, so he did it as a player. I think if he does it as a GM, he will be the best face in Detroit sports history. That's my
100%. If he brings
I don't even think that's really a debate. I think
he might already be, let alone he might already be.
To Hockey Town as a GM
again, but because he did it as a player. He did it as a player.
He doesn't have a statue already.
he might. It's
That'd
been a
be
minute.
ridiculous.
It's been a minute
It
since
might
I've
have
been in
at the
Detroit.
Joe.
Yeah.
It might have been at the Joe.
But yeah, I guess we can go into Red Wings picks now. At number 9, we took Nate Danielson. That was kind of a shocker for me.
It's just a very Yzerman pick.
It really is, because my top 3 for the Wings at 9 were Kobe Barlow, Otto Stenberg, and Gabriel Perreault.
He's Larkin's position, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Larkin? Does he have more upside than Larkin, or
I think his upside is Larkin.
That's probably a good way to put it.
Larkin's
Because-
a stud.
Larkin's a very good.
Because
Yeah, Larkin is
we
really
just-
good.
we needed a goal scorer. I feel like we have a ton of very talented playmakers on our team, and then you have all these guys I just mentioned. Barlow nearly scored 50 points as a 17-year-old, or 50 goals as a 17-year-old. Otto Stenberg probably could get him in the second round if he didn't get picked. I didn't see the rest of the draft, but an incredible shooter. And all three of those guys also struggle in things you can teach. You cannot teach a guy to score 50 goals. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
But when we go and draft another playmaker with good hands, much like Lucas Raymond, much like Dylan Larkin, it's just a confusing pick for me, especially at 9.
We're gonna talk about the NFL draft in a different episode, and I'm huge on like all the GMs that have tried to manipulate the NFL draft process like they're better than the draft. It's failed for every single one of them. Steve Eisenman is the only GM that he could pick a guy projected in the 7th round. I'll be like, let's go. I mean, and I think
Not Brad
he's
Holmes.
no, he's earned my. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt on everything, and I think that's why I'm in on the pick.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton about the guy. I didn't watch a ton of film like Thomas did, but because it's Eisenman, I'm in.
But yeah, just like I said, playmakers. I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna trust Steve Eisenman. I just don't think it was the right move for us. And then at 17, we take who was it? I can't pronounce his last name either. But I was hoping for a trade for DeBrincat. I think a lot of us were.
I heard about that like all week, and I'm surprised we didn't do that.
I've heard DeBrincat, Konechny.
Yeah.
I mean, I think from a fan base perspective, we wanted to go in and say, let's go, let's get geared up. But Eiserman he's looking
taking his time.
long term. His plan is we're gonna come in 3 years and we're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there for years upon that. And as the casual, not even casual fans, but as a fan, it's so hard to be that patient about the whole ideology. But I love the Axel Points,
especially because Detroit sports.
Axel Sandy.
We haven't had like a good winter, you know. Because all the 4 sports have been in a rebuild for a while now. That's why I feel like we're so impatient.
Right.
100%.
But looking at some stats, he had 36 points in 31 games as a defenseman.
He also had 16 goals, which I think is very impressive for a defenseman. This guy has some puck moving ability. His favorite player and who he models his game after is Cale Makar. So don't get me too excited, because was it Landeskog that said how you win a Stanley Cup is you get yourself a Cale Makar.
Yeah, but to build on, I think we already have a Cale Makar on our team. Even though he had a down year offensively last year, he's still a dominant defensive guy in Mo Seider. I mean, I just don't. I don't know. I mean, you can build your team up with a bunch of offensive guys. I mean, that's how the Colorado really won their cup, and how Edmonton's trying to win is just play offense and outscore the other team. But I like Seider's defensive upside. I'm not too sure about this kid. Didn't do a ton on him, but we got to trust Eiserman.
Speaking about Mo Seider, where would you rank him among top defensemen in the NHL? Because I got him top 10.
It's got to be. The thing about hockey and other sports is, like football, you have the top guys, and then you have your superstars, and then you just have a bunch of mid guys, right? Like, of all the superstars. Hockey, it can change on a yearly basis. Like, you have your Cale Makars, you have like Brent Burns, but we just saw Erik Karlsson score 100+ points after doing nothing for the past 5 years. So it is really just on a yearly basis with hockey, and it's just hard to predict those things.
It really is.
I think Seider's second half of the season, just his second half, I would say he was the top 5 defenseman last year.
Absolutely. Now, the pick right after is probably my second favorite pick of the draft, Kobe Barlow. This is my favorite player in the draft.
You said you had him at.
I had him top 10. I had him top 10.
Where was he at?
He got drafted 18.
Where'd you have him at?
I had him at 9.
Yeah, he wanted us to take him with the early pick.
So when I was researching the draft, I saw him as high as 5 and as low as 20. So this was a guy that analysts couldn't seem to place. But after watching his film, and hearing about his 200-foot game and his ability to score goals, I just thought he was an Yzerman guy. I thought he was a guy that Yzerman would absolutely love because Yzerman loves those guys that can play a complete game.
Nothing really to say about that. I thought he'd go early. Kind of thought it's like when a player gets like investigations like right before the draft and drops his draft stock, but like with hockey players, you never hear with that problem.
Like Jalen Carter.
Yeah, like Jalen Carter, Laramie Tunsil back then,
Was it the
Layout
Gas
Collins,
Or just injuries that dropped.
yeah, or just like an injury. So it was kind of questionable about why he dropped, but again, not complaining because there's nothing that really came out. He just fell into our hands. Sometimes that just happens.
But you wanted the Blackhawks to take him at pick 19, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he got picked before, so I can't really be mad
If
about
that was the guy you were hoping for.
Yeah, most definitely. As a Blackhawks fan, yeah, but as a Red Wings supporter, wasn't mad that the Red Wings took
Him and Bedard on the power play would just.
So there's a lot of good guys left on the board for the Wings to take in the second round, and we have 3 back-to-back picks in the second round. So we'll just have to see what they do. Like I said, really good draft. So I don't think we did see a goalie in round 1, but there's not really that guy this year.
But that's kind of like the running back of the NHL, correct?
Yeah. I mean, one of the guys I watch at TSN says, "Don't pay a goalie; they're all the same." But then you have your you have your outliers like Vasilevsky. You have a Carey Price in his prime. You have Jonathan Quick in his prime. You have Ottinger. Just all those guys. Goalies can definitely win you games, but they're very replaceable. They tend to have shorter careers because of injuries. So yeah, I guess you could say it's like the running back. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic off to Zane, and he's gonna bring our in and out segment on the Pistons and the Tigers.
Speaking of Detroit, we have the Yzer plan that we're all in, but are we all in on the Tigers?
I mean, that's just a great transfer right there, isn't it?
All right, boys. I need your thoughts. Are you in or are you out with the Tigers? I believe they just lost today. I believe it was 10-2. We had Joey Wentz on the mound, so that is not surprising at all. That guy is a bum, and he needs to be fucking sent down immediately. And my boy Torkelson, I'm not going to lie, he's struggling right now. And I don't think it would be a bad idea to send him down to AAA. But before we get into that, I'm going to get into that. Don't worry, I got stats for last month. In the month of June, I got his career OPS, which is... Like, bro, what'd you say, a fucking abysmal? You said that earlier? Yeah, that's what his stats are looking like right now. But are you? Yeah, Tommy will be putting in. We will be putting in Torkelson's highlights in.
Watch him go yard the first swing.
So you'll be able to watch those. But boys, are you in or are you out? Because we sit 11 or 10 games behind 500, but I can pitch to you. We are within 5 games of being even with the Twins for the division.
This division is by far the worst division in baseball.
It's the worst division I have ever seen.
Maybe in the last decade.
I don't think I've seen a division worse than this division right now. It is
open one to left field as we're talking about it.
This was in April, and look at the score. It's 9-2. Well, now 9-4.
These will make him look like a stud. He has 9 damn home runs. Jake Rogers, who's batting 190 for the season.
Just got an incredible mustache.
Yeah, he shaved that, so he doesn't have that going for him anymore.
Power, man.
Oh yeah, he's the next Miggy, isn't he? But anyway, Jake Rogers is leading the team in home runs, and he's hitting 190. We selected this guy with the first pick, and he was supposed to be a 35-40 home run guy a year.
Best college hitter since Mark Teixeira.
Yeah, Mark Teixeira. Yeah, that was all the noise, right? Yeah. And then this is what we got: a guy who hits 220 with 8 home runs. That's what we got.
How would you describe him, Zane?
A disappointment.
I thought you were gonna say fucking abysmal, but.
Oh no, you could say that.
Okay, so personally, Brody and I, we went to the Braves and Tigers game where the Tigers won in 10 innings, and I saw the Spencer Torkelson that all fans want to see for obviously the whole year. I mean, he hit a 420-foot moonshot. 440. It was once you heard it, you could have heard it at Atlanta. You could have heard it. And you saw the walk off. It was gonna be a sac fly. Oh well. And it was like, wow, Torkelson is a dog. Like, but as we've seen, like ever since, like he's just fell off a cliff, bro. Like caught himself and then just fell again even harder.
Well, the first 7 games of June, I thought Torque was here. I thought he was here to stay. But sadly, it was just the first 7 games, and now we're here. With the month's almost over, I'm going to read you his stats in these last 30 days. I'll hand you to Brody after this. He can get his thoughts on Torque. But Brody, I'm going to leave you with these stats, and you can talk all you want. In the last 30 days, basically this whole month of June, he is hitting 184 with a 277 OBP, not even 300 OBP, which is on-base percentage for you listeners who don't know. His slugging percentage is 3.6, and his season OPS, I couldn't find his OPS in the month of June, but his season's OPS is 6.6 or 660, which is, I think league average is like 720, I believe. It is 720. It's very that's below average, and if you're a number 1 pick and you're a below average OPS, I just can't do it. But Brody, are you in or are you out with the Tigers?
After 7 years of consistent sucking and terrible ownership, and quite possibly the worst general managing in the history of Detroit sports, would you say, Zane?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ken Holland with the Wings.
Ken Holland won us a cup.
Yeah,
He won us a couple cups.
He won us a cup.
No,
You say worse ownership?
no, he didn't, but he won 3.
You say worse ownership?
Well, ownership, Illich has been terrible. His son is fucking sucked.
Illich is terrible, but ownership, I'm gonna have to go with Fords.
Okay.
I'm not Sheila though.
Before pre-Sheila, but I'm talking about general managing as well. Al Avila.
The fact he had the balls to go on a podcast and say he had a good fucking return for that Verlander trade, like what? What is wrong with this guy? He is the worst general manager that has ever been in Detroit sports. That's over Matt Millen and whoever had with the Lions had. He is the worst general manager we've ever had. He set this team back 20 years. I don't know what he's doing, and I hate him so much. I fuck you, Al Avila.
I know he sucks because whenever I do a rebuild with the Tigers in the show, I win the World Series in like 3 years. So like, I mean, this guy's terrible. But I'm out, and I'm out. It's pretty frustrating for me, but I'm out.
Yeah. So as a Tiger fan, and I always have been ever since, as I've been able to remember baseball. I remember the days where we would go to the World Series or the ALCS, or every year we'd go to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden we're on the pace to just always lose we're trying to lose games at this point. We're trying to be the team that has 120 losses, and I am so far out. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I used to be a huge Tigers fan. Now I barely know any of the team. Like, when I went to the game with Brody, I had to ask, who do we even have? Like, I had no clue who was pitching. I knew Jake Rogers. I knew Kerry Carpenter. I didn't know who the Veerling guy was. I knew who Javi Baez was. Everyone booed Javi Baez every time you went up to the plate. And
Yeah, because he's garbage.
like we
He
spent
deserves to get booed. He's the worst contract in Detroit sports.
And before I give you my little rundown before I go back to Zane, I want to get Tommy's opinion if he's in or if he's out.
because I'm out. I'm hard out.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't watch too much baseball, but I did about a month ago when we were on that little heater. And if you were to ask me then, I would say I'm in. But now, I mean, we're on a bit of a cooler, and I'm out. It's
Iceberg, not cooler.
It's a big out now.
All right, I know what I just said might have sounded harsh, kind of ripped on Al Avila and Torkelson, but I think this Tigers team is kind of like a bad rash. It just doesn't go away. You know,
162 games of it.
It just doesn't go away. You think they're out. They lose 9 games in a row. Oh, they're back. They're within 3 games of the division. This team, I'm out. I'm in. I'm out. I'm in. I'm here to stay. I'm watching every game now. Unless Joey Wentz is on the mound, I will not watch a game with Joey Wentz is on the mound because he's terrible. I think we should give him the Maton treatment and send him down just to Double-A, not Triple-A. He doesn't deserve to be in Toledo. He needs to go down to Double-A. So, but that is my thoughts. I am in on the Tigers. We are in a pennant chase, and I think it's for real.
Yeah, the Detroit Tigers season has kind of been like poison ivy on your balls. You know, you just can't get rid of it. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
And I'm referring back to this game because this game kind of just bases off the whole Tiger season. Like, there was a play at the plate that was reviewed, and this fan in front of us yelled, "If this play is overturned, all 500 of us are going to kill you." The sad part is that 500 might have been a stretch. Like there might have been like 350 people there.
See, but that's what's so good. Like Detroit fans are so hungry for a winner, and they're so dedicated. It's like there's not a lot of like maybe Philly fans that would say that. Like really. Like, you go to Vegas, there's not fans like that. Like, those are probably, like, 70% away fans anyway, teams in Vegas. We're so desperate for a winner here that someone would say something like that.
Well, Phillies fans are super passionate, but they're also, like, trash bags and slightly racist. So, I think
like Boston fans?
Yeah, I mean, they're terrible. I think we have the best fans in there.
Well, Cooper's wearing a Red Sox jersey right now. Cooper, you always like the Red Sox?
You know, after I went to Fenway, yes. I never really watched them, and like, obviously when David Ortiz hit the go-ahead home run on us in the 8th inning, it broke my heart in 2013. But in the end, he's a dog. But they know.
All right, he's a bandwagon, folks. So never mind. Okay, but before I know Brody wants the mic. He's gonna move on to a segment. But before we go, I gotta ask you guys. Should we send Torque down to AAA or should we keep him up? But when I'm sending him, I don't want to send him down as a punishment. I want to send him down. I'm not giving him you're just going down for 14 days, like as a punishment. I want to send him down. I want him to get confidence. I want him to get ABs, and I want him to I want him to hit some doubles. I want to hit some home runs.
It's not a punishment. It's more of, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yes. Like I want him to get his groove back. That's why. And if we're doing it, I'm not bringing him back up.
And then when he comes back, we're winning the pennant, right?
Oh yeah, but would you?
It's not that hard.
No, he's not coming. He's not coming back this year. But would you guys send him down?
And I just want to put it into a little bit of perspective how bad the Tigers are. About how we have 12 hitters on the roster that are like on the 26-man, right? We have 4 hitters that are above league average in OPS. 2 of them don't even have enough at-bats to qualify, so we don't know if they're going to stay above league average OPS.
Is that Nevin?
No. God, no. If Tyler Nevin was an above league average hitter, I would go jump in the lake.
Well, no, but Nevin probably doesn't have enough at-bats.
No, he doesn't, but he's terrible.
Oh, no, he's garbage.
Kerry Carpenter doesn't have enough.
Love me some Kerry
Carpenter doesn't have enough. Jake Rogers surprisingly doesn't have enough. Riley Green is on IL. He's like over 800, and he's been a genuine very good hitter. He's our only very good hitter besides Kerry Carpenter, who has like 100 at bats. I mean, what are we supposed to see out of that?
Carp got hurt though.
He did. Another guy that's been hurt.
And Rogers splits time with Haas, so that's probably also.
Well, and then Veerling's our other guy, but Veerling and Rogers are so close. They're like one bad game from being league average hitters.
1-0 for 4.
Yeah, and if that happens, Rogers, that happens all the time. And if that happens, we're gonna have
a bomb once in a while.
If that happens, we're gonna have one qualified hitter who's above average league MLB player, and he's hurt.
This might sound terrible, but Miggy's our best hitter right now, and he's gonna retire.
That dude fucking sucks.
Dude, he weighs 300 pounds, but he's our best hitter right now.
Yeah, I love him to death, but he's terrible right now.
Yeah, he's terrible, and he's our best hitter. He's our best hitter right now.
I love it after the games and even in the games when they interview him, he just has a bunch of 300 places he'd rather be than active.
No, he doesn't care at all. Like, he's not dedicated.
No,
He showed up 50 pounds overweight, but he is our best hitter right now. I'm the most confident with him in the box than anybody else.
I'm starting to think Miggy is definitely regretting this year being his last year.
He's just trying to have fun with it, though.
Yeah, but he's just trying to enjoy himself. I mean, he knows he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so at this point, I think he's just thinking, man, I should have been in the Hall of Fame a year earlier, but now he's ate a couple cheeseburgers, and now in June he's finally hitting his stride, you know?
I'm
But
telling you, nothing made me happier when he hit that nuke, or not. I don't want to say nuke, but when he hit a home run the other day, nothing.
The wall scraper.
Yeah, that just made my day.
Was that against the Braves?
it was.
I was there for that game, but there's a big but here. I didn't see Torque's home run, Haas's, or Miggy's because we were figuring out our ticket situation because they got refunded. They wouldn't let us go in, so I missed the first 3 innings. I didn't get to see any of those home runs.
But to put into perspective again how bad the Tigers are, the pitching is supposed to be the strength of our team. We've been told that
It is.
for years. But
No,
for years we've been
it's
told
our strength, but when everyone gets hurt every game, it's like
our 4 best pitchers are all on IL.
Yes.
Or besides Matt Manning, who has he's come back. He has a above 4 ERA, and
Bro,
he's
just
striking
got off
out.
of it.
He's striking out 5 batters per 9 innings.
Dude, but
He has
just
no.
got back.
He has. This is his stats before he got hurt.
I got you.
He has no stuff, and he is giving up hits.
And the guy, like I do agree, his stuff is bad. He can't find the zone to save his life sometimes. But if you're gonna have no stuff, those are normally the flamethrowers, right? This guy tops out at like 94.
And he was throwing 102 like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went.
Where is he going?
Our minor league development might be the worst in the league.
I don't know where. Like, what's our pitching coach doing? Like, I know he like what is our arm care like? Do these guys stretch?
I think
Do
they
just
throw
come
medicine
in-
balls at the wall and extend their elbow on the way out.
Do they just come in the game and not throw warm up and just say we're ready to go? Why? Like Matt Boyd just tore his he's getting Tommy John.
Yeah.
And then Will Vest comes in, throws 2 pitches, and he's hurt. So like, what are we doing?
And I want Mays and Scuball and Manning and I want them to be the big 3 so bad. And Erod even looked like a Cy Young winner for like
I love school.
a 10th of the season, but they're all hurt. And what are we supposed to do? And then we could talk about how Javi Baez is a sub 600 OPS and is getting 6 years for $144 million. Like, are we serious?
His chase rate's the highest in the MLB, or second highest. And it's you don't have to throw this guy a strike all that bat, and he's gonna strike out. We have him for like 8 years. It's a terrible contract. We locked him up, and as much as I love AJ Hinch, he's got to serve some blame for this too because he wanted Javi. And I think if we have AJ Hinch instead of Brad Ausmus, I think one of those teams would have went far in the playoffs. I'm not gonna go as far and say a World Series, but I think he would have done a much better job than Brad Ausmus.
Yeah, and back to the original question, as we just went from, we had a question of should Torque go down, and we just started bashing on the Tigers again. Like, that's how much, like, we just can't stand the Tigers right now. I don't think it really matters as we get to see some Javi Baez home runs here. Or not. He's hitting balls that are hitting the dirt before home plate. That is fantastic.
Just to show something.
I do want to say I was a little too harsh on Torque. He has been one of the unluckiest hitters in baseball this year. I do want to point that out there.
See, I do know his exit velocity has been very well.
His hard hit ball percentage.
And his hard hit ball percentage.
His walks.
But it's like, to me, that's almost window dressing. It's like, how advanced are we digging for these stats? It's like, dude, are you gonna get a base hit? or not?
Javi Baez
It's like, are you gonna get a base hit? Like, you can have as hard as a hit as you want, and if it's a grounder to the shortstop, that's an out in the MLB. You know, it's not Waddles Park baseball where you hit a hard ball to the shortstop and then it goes into the outfield and it's a triple. You know?
I feel like people use this because if you're consistently hitting balls hard.
Oh, that one was about what? What'd you say? 10 feet off the plate?
But that one was too. But
he didn't throw him one strike that AB and he struck out.
But eventually, it's going to come to the median where he is going to start getting hits. The only issue is when you have a 660 OPS, the median's probably what league average. And if you're getting drafted number 1 overall, playing terrible defense, you can't.
I think he's a better defender than he's not a great defender, but I wouldn't say he's been terrible.
He's like bottom
I'm
fifth
sorry.
percentile in defensive WAR.
Me and Cooper are watching this while you guys are talking, and the catchers are framing outside the zone. The majority
Oh, that's
of
what
the
you do
time.
with Javi. That's what you do. I don't even call him Javi. He's Harvey now.
Are
He's
they
not
even
even.
trying to frame.
No, you just
They're
throw it.
setting up outside the zone on the majority.
Oh yeah, there you go. That was. I don't even know if that was in the same ballpark.
Walker Buehler again. I'm looking. I don't even know.
I love how he keeps his head down on the ball. Looking up at the sky. So what's up there? Oh, there's another one.
It's all the
Let's see
same
if he
pitch.
throws him a strike
They're
this
all
at bat.
lobbing away.
He cannot hit a down and away slider to
No.
save his life.
His whiff rate and his chase rate are, I think his whiff rate is
my
second to
God.
lowest, and then his chase rate's the highest in the MLB.
And I don't get this because literally like 2 months before the season in the World Baseball Classic, Javi Baez was carrying his team. And it was just like, oh my gosh, we could have got the Javi that we wanted. But nope, all of a sudden we're back to the Detroit Javi. I mean, I'm starting to think that we don't have the same player that was in Chicago or the team or the one that was even in New York, because in the Mets he was decent, but then all of a sudden he's just awful.
Well, I can tell you why. He is a great role player. Like he can't be the guy. He's like a Draymond Green. You know, he's great when he has 3 to 2 Hall of Famers on his team and he's not the guy everyone's focused on. But once that focus is on him, this is what he is. He's that.
I swear the majority of these, or not even the majority, I swear almost every single one of these pitches are low and away. And
Well,
you
yeah.
chase them every single time.
Well, when you have Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant on your team and David Ross, who's a great leader. He wasn't the best hitter, but he's a great leader. He's the manager now. And you weren't the guy. There was no pressure on you. And like he was good, but now when he's the guy at the Tigers, we signed him up 8 years. He's just crumbled under pressure.
Man, do we think we have any other guys in Detroit sports that aren't going to be that guy, but that can be crucial role players for a good team?
Yes. So that would be a great segue to my Pistons segment. I am gonna do an in and out on the Pistons as well, but for next year, do you think they will be a play-in, possibly play-off team? For me, I think they are a play-in team without adding any pieces, but I have heard maybe adding Harrison Barnes, going after Cam Johnson, but we're going to have to pay Cam Johnson a bag. I've heard upwards up to $100 million. So, because the way his contract's set up, that the Nets could match any offer we make, so we're gonna have to make just a ridiculous offer that the Nets can't match. So upwards of $100 million.
So he's an RFA.
He's restricted. But I think Cam Johnson would fit perfectly with this team. But I think Harrison Barnes is pretty slept on. I think he's a great veteran. He could play the 3 or the 4. He'll be a small 4, but if we want to go small ball, that'll be all right. But as a great role player, you were saying that won't be that guy. I'm going to go James Wiseman. Okay. I know some people aren't as high in Wiseman as me, but he got drafted into the Golden State Warriors, loaded with talent. You know, they weren't really focusing on his offensive ability. They kind of wanted him to be a Kevon Looney, what does all Looney do? Just get rebounds, that's it. Pass it back out to Steph or Clay. And Wiseman is way better than that. And Troy Weaver was very, very high on James Wiseman coming out, and he said if I could have took anybody, it would have been him. So
with Anthony Edwards
and LaMelo Ball, yes. So we traded Sadiq, and we could find a Sadiq Bey anywhere. And
An inefficient 3-and-D player that doesn't play defense.
right, we could find a Sadiq anywhere, but I don't think we can find a Wiseman anywhere. So I think his upside. To me, I know you guys would probably say the Red Wings, but I think the Pistons, besides the Detroit Lions, have probably the brightest future in Detroit. I know you guys would say the Red Wings, but to me, I think we have a core 5 that if we keep together, they're young, they'll all grow together. And it'll take more time than the Red Wings for sure, but in my opinion, it's the Pistons.
I might put the Red Wings above the Lions
But-
just because of this draft.
Okay, I agree with you. Or I don't. I respect your opinion.
You never know what he's going to
Yeah.
do. He built this Tampa, I know we're on basketball, but for those of you that know hockey, he built the Tampa team that he left 3 years ago.
Loaded team too.
Yeah, and they're still winning. Like
They won two
They
Stanley
won.
Cups and then lost to the best team that I've ever seen personally.
yeah.
In the Avalanche.
They
In
make
6.
Brody, I said I agree with you. I didn't mean to say that too. I don't really agree with you, but I respect that opinion,
For sure.
and I could 100% see why you think that. But anyway, are you guys in or out with them being a play-in / playoff team next season?
If they sign a 3-and-D winger that is like an above average player like a Cam Johnson or Harrison Barnes, I'm in.
Okay, Cooper.
I am in on the Pistons. Definitely, our season would have been a lot better, but like once Cade got hurt, it was just like, we're kind of stuck.
I think that's 10 wins right there if we get a healthy Cade.
Agree. And then,
That's my floor.
and then,
Okay.
and then the fact that we're like, all right, well, we still need some pieces. We ended up getting the 5th pick when we wanted the 1st, which whatever. Doesn't hurt. us.
Rigged.
It is rigged. Detroit versus everybody, of course,
Happened
but
to the Red Wings a couple years ago.
Detroit versus everybody. But I am in on these Pistons, and the biggest offseason signing so far. I don't even care. Is that we got Monty Williams
For sure.
Oh, great coach. He does see what a lot of people will probably not agree because it's probably an overlooked position in the NBA, but the center position, I think Jalen Duren is a stud. I think he has the ability to make more All-Star appearances than Cade and Ivy and anybody else we have. So, but people don't know this. That when in Monty Williams in Phoenix, they were the 5th team ranked in points from the pick and roll from the roller. So that's DeAndre Ayton coming off the roll. That's Frank Kaminsky or whoever else, whatever other bum. I don't. DeAndre Ayton's trash. He's the softest player in the NBA.
I was gonna say DeAndre Ayton's terrible.
Softest player in the NBA. So imagine when Monty Williams has a man in the paint and he's only 19 years old and he's way better than DeAndre Ayton. Imagine when he has they're going number 1. Maybe not number 1, but you know what I mean. And in his half-second offense, where everything's moving and clicking. So that's why I think Jalen Duren is going to have the biggest step up this year.
I do agree with that take. Jalen Duren is more athletic than DeAndre Ayton, and he actually cares. DeAndre Ayton hasn't cared about basketball in the last year and a half, and Jalen Duren is only 19. Some kids are graduating, and Jalen Duren is dunking on Hall of Famers in the NBA right now. So I really love the upside of Jalen Duren.
See, and that's a great point. I know some 19-year-old kids who are still in high school, and this kid is lacing his shoes up and playing on the NBA.
Like game 1, didn't he like he
had a poster. He
blocked
played
the
a lot.
shot. Ivy got the ball. They ran out. Jalen Duren running the
He blocked it, got his own rebound, outlet it to Ivy,
and then
Ivy
ran
gave
the
it back to
floor,
him
and then he dunked on like Paolo or somebody. Like that's insane.
That was the most excited I've been for Pistons basketball in years.
Me and my dad looked at each other. We were watching it. We looked at each other, and he's like, "Wow." We were like, "Wow, this team is watchable now."
And your dad who never compliments anyone.
My dad, when it comes to basketball, nothing's good enough. He hates everything. He hates the 3-ball. He hates the mid-range. He hates the dunk. He's just the classic basketball coach. You know what I mean? And he even said this team is going to be good, and they're fun to watch. Tommy, our amazing technical producer, is throwing up some Jalen Duren highlights, so you could watch that. But Tommy, I know you don't watch a lot of basketball, but do you have any thoughts at all on the Pistons? Do you think they could be a playoff team?
I mean, just hearing what you guys have to say about them, I trust you guys enough to say that I'm in on them. But like in the few games I did watch, I saw some good things. I mean, we're really young, and that's always good in any sort of sport. So I'm gonna have to say I'm in, and I actually look forward to watching them this year.
I have a question for Zane. What do you think of our draft picks this year? I get that this class wasn't as good. Like it was like the top 3 were like the best 3 prospects in like a long time. It's kind of like hockey. But what did you think about our pick at 5 and the trade up for Sasser at 25?
So, I think we were just limited a lot on where we were, but so for me, I thought I favored Taylor Hendricks forward out of UCF, 6'9" with a 7'2" wingspan. Shot 40% from 3. But who's our manager again? I'm blanking. Troy Weaver in his press conference before the draft says he likes the long ball and he's not looking for bunts. I think that Taylor Hendrick was more of a safe pick and more of a bunt, and Ausar is more of the long ball. So that didn't. As soon as he said that, I was thinking we would draft Ausar. So I wasn't surprised by any of the picks. What I was hoping was going to happen with our second pick, though, is I was hoping Bryce Sensabaugh would have dropped from the guard/forward from Ohio State, because he was probably the top 5 at least. That's scorer in the Big Ten Conference. He's just an elite scorer, but he does have some injury issues, so that's why I thought he would have dropped to 31. But I think Sasser, the guy we got from Houston, he's a little small, but he's just got that. I get big Jordan Poole vibes. Not when he was trash this year, but I get very big Jordan Poole vibes from Sasser. I think he could be Poole's offensive ability a little less, obviously, because Poole is just amazing. But take what he's lacking out of his offensive ability from Poole and put it on his defense, because this guy's all over the court. His help defense is tremendous. Coming off, like, his basketball instincts, I just love, and he can shoot the ball. And we all know here we need guys that can shoot the ball. You can never have enough shooters, especially in the NBA.
Unless you ask Mr. Bowling.
Right, but Ausar, a lot of people like to make fun of his shooting, say he can't shoot, but in the G League Ignite, or no, that was Scoot Henderson. He played in the Overtime Elite. They used the NBA 3.
He improved a lot.
Yeah.
Think, right?
So, but they actually used the NBA 3.
He was an MVP.
So Taylor Hendricks' 40% is from the college 3, which I was talking about. He shot 33% the regular season from the NBA 3, and then when the playoffs start, he was teetering like 39 to 40%. So he's capable of a 40% three-point shooting season, which is what we need very badly.
This is off topic. Back on Jalen Duren. Did you guys see the news that he grew to like 7 foot?
Oh, I think that's all fake.
Do you think so?
I think it's like because I've seen like 40 different things from 40 different teams about some random
he's already
player
like
growing.
6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, he's 6'11", so I mean,
he's still in growing age, isn't he? He's pretty
Yeah, I
young.
mean, he's
19, so yeah.
dude's the same age as me, basically.
Tommy, if you would have told me that, I would not have been surprised. This guy is very young, and he's built like I think. He is a truck. Right now, I think he's better than what Andre Drummond ever was in Detroit.
Yeah.
The only thing that Andre Drummond has him on is rebounding. That's it. That's literally it.
Well, Drummond was a better interior scorer.
I don't even know, because like I think this guy kind of has a bag down low. Drummond really didn't have a bag.
Okay.
Drummond could see, like, he can't even shoot free throws though. Like Drummond might have had like a little bit of like a mid range, like, you know, like a high post type of shot. But we haven't really seen that a lot from Duren. Like, he just has been dunking everything.
Yeah, Drummond definitely got a lot more touches than Duren got.
Right.
But I got to say, the one thing that we haven't really talked about that I'm kind of surprised, Cade Cunningham is that guy.
He is. A couple. I don't know if you guys
Wait,
saw
are
it,
those
a couple
pictures
highlights
real?
ago.
No,
Those pictures
that
aren't
is
real.
100% fake pictures.
Yeah, no.
He was coming
Caveman
through
Cunningham.
behind the back, between the legs, dish out to Duren because Cade drew all 3 defenders and Duren has an easy slam.
Tommy, why don't you throw up some Ivy highlights too? We'll get some.
Where your
Cade
Pistons
Cunningham-
gets the best built-in
Cade
protection.
Cunningham, if the Pistons are like 500 or just a little above 500 at the All-Star break, Cade Cunningham will be an All-Star this season.
Who do you guys think has a higher ceiling, Ivy or Cade?
Cade.
Okay.
Cade could be top 10 player in the league.
See,
Yes.
I agree with that, but I think his scoring ability, I think Ivy has a higher ceiling. Cade's floor is way, way higher than Ivy's floor is as a player. But I think Ivy's offensive ability, his ceiling's higher than Cade. I think, like, Brody doesn't like this, but I think he's kind of like a Ja Morant type of, like, that comparison, what I would make to him.
I just don't think he can pull the trigger like John.
No, he's not.
And
No, he
On and off the court.
Oh wow,
He's
wow!
not-
I see what you did
He's
there.
not as explosive. I was serious now. I don't think he's as explosive as an athlete as John.
See, I think he can get
No,
there.
John Moran is definitely more risky than Jay Knighty when it comes to jumping.
He don't give a fuck.
No, because he'll jump. Yeah, he'll jump with anybody.
Dude, Jay Knighty is a better facilitator. Like Jay Knighty's a better team player.
Like let's not act like Ivy can't get up though. You know.
Oh, he can jump.
But that's just my opinion. There's no right answers. They've only been Ivy's played 1 year, Cade's played 2 years. Well, Cade's played what? 1 year basically, counting. Well, he hasn't even played. If you count all of his games, maybe it's like 1 year fully. So we're basically adding a free square. But Coop, we've kind of spent a long time on this. You're gonna hit us home with our your all-star selections and take us out of here.
Alrighty, so I got the duty, and it was my pleasure to get the duty of electing the MLB All-Stars. This is after the second ballot. My first ballot was completely different than some of the finalists. So obviously, the top vote getters for the NL was Ronald Acuna Jr. Again, we all saw this. He's been the best player in baseball.
Besides Tatis.
Besides
Tatis. And Otani.
yeah, and then of course,
Ohtani's the best player in baseball.
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
Say, you didn't give him his shot.
and then the AL of course is Shohei Ohtani. Those two are on a different level than
The
everyone
actual
else.
best player in baseball.
Those two players are completely on a different level. Shohei Ohtani is probably the greatest baseball player we have ever seen and maybe ever will see. Acuna did get more votes, but that's simply because the Braves have a way bigger fan base than the Angels. So at first base for the AL, I expect it to be Vladdy Guerrero Jr. One, he's better, and two, I mean, everyone loves Vladdy. We want him to come back to the home run derby, but after hitting 91 home runs in a home run derby and not winning, I see the frustration of why he doesn't want to. And then also for first base, it was Freddie Freeman versus Matt Olson, and then for me being a huge Braves fan, it was hard. Even though Freddie Freeman is on the Dodgers, I don't care. Freddie Freeman got us a ring. He's Mr. Brave in my heart, but I still did pick Matt Olson after this past week. Matt Olson has just been crushing the baseball. And I get Freddie Freeman just hit his 2,000 hit mark, but I just think Matt Olson's been the better player as the second ballot has come out.
I actually had Yandy and Freddie.
Okay.
Yandy's just been so much better this year, even though Vladdy's definitely the better player. And as much as I don't like the Dodgers, I just had to pick Freddie.
And at second base for the AL, I had Marcus Semien. And then for the NL, I did have Ozzy Albies. It's kind of crazy. You look at this infield and you see the All-Stars. A common theme is you're going to see that they were almost the most of them were all Oakland Athletics, and now you see the Oakland Athletics wouldn't even beat the LSU Tigers, which congratulations to the LSU Tigers for winning the College World Series. You did your thing. So good for them. Hopefully we get to vote for the future Tigers in the MLB All-Star. Third base, I had Josh Jung from the Texas Rangers, and this is the one time hurt me not to vote for Austin Riley, but there's just no way I could vote against Nolan Arenado.
But how do you vote against Luis Arias, who's almost hitting 400 and has a almost, I think it might be 950 now, but it was close to 950 OPS.
To be honest, it is a full-on hate for that guy because I am a huge Jazz Chisholm supporter, and seeing him not on the ballot because he's getting all the votes from the Marlins hurts me. So no. Where were we at? Okay, shortstop. I have Corey Seager from the Rangers, and then Orlando Arcia from the Braves again.
That Braves bias.
The Braves bias, but Arcia has better stats.
Lindor plays better defense.
People care about offense more in the MLB, so
It is an
Vladdy
offensive-driven league.
Vladdy over Diaz. Crazy.
fair. And then at catcher, I had Jonah Heim from Texas, from the Rangers. And then catcher, Sean Murphy is on my board, but I straight up flipped a coin between him and Will Smith. Their stats are identical. They play the same. Like I truly don't care who's in that position for the NAL.
You want the Braves guy, don't you?
Dude, to be honest, I think the Braves whole infield should be in the All-Star game, but again, that's just me. Just saying, I think their whole team should be out there, and then now we get to the outfield. In the AL, I have Yordan Alvarez, Mike Trout, and Randy Arozarena. Yordan Alvarez, obviously, like no doubt. Mike Trout, no doubt. Mike Trout is the second best player in baseball behind his teammate Shohei Ohtani. And then Randy Arozarena, my bad. What do you want to speak on him, Zane?
I mean, he's just super underrated. Like, no one really knows. Like, you didn't even know how to pronounce his name. That wasn't a shot at you. I'm just saying. Like, I just feel like you'd say, name me 10 baseball players. Arozarena probably wouldn't be one of those said. But he's kind of like a mini Acuna. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say, Brody? You probably know who Arozarena is. He steals bases. I was talking about Brody. I'm sorry. He steals bases. He slugs. He hits for power. He hits consistent for consistency. You know, he's just a ball player, man.
He sucks from June to August and is randomly good in the playoffs.
I know. Just playoff guy. You know, he doesn't suck. He's just average.
Yeah. Can I talk about how I'm a Padres fan as Cooper is a Braves fan? How is Fernando Tatis Jr. not on the second phase of the All-Star ballot?
I can tell you because he got popped for PEDs, and if you're the MLB, you're not putting him in there. And I know you're going to say it's based on play, but I'm just telling you that's why. It's like the NFL putting someone who got like putting Calvin Ridley or something in like the All-Star or the Pro Bowl. It's just not going to happen because he got popped for gambling. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's got to be it because it is a fan.
It is it because he's a hell of a player, but he's just not. He's got popped for PEDs, man.
Face of the MLB.
He was a fan franchise or a fan favorite before the PEDs.
Cover athlete,
and I mean, he had an over 900 OPS when the first voting came in, and he is probably the candidate to win Gold Glove for the right field position.
Right. Like, and I was.
Gotta be that.
You wanted to know, and I'm telling you that's
gotta be
why.
that.
I don't know if I agree with it or not because it should be based on play. And he, like you said, faced the franchise. He is a cover athlete, but that is the reason why.
And he was definitely a snub. I would have to agree. When I did not see his name, and because the MLB makes it straight off van voting, I was genuinely shocked to not see Fernando Tatis on the final ballot. So going into the NL, my three outfielders that I picked for the outfield, obviously I only could pick two because Acuna was an automatic bid. The second one I picked was Mookie Betts. I mean, there's no really way to say that. Mookie Betts, absolute dog on defense, and he'll give you a leadoff home run. He'll give you a double. He'll steal a base. Mookie Betts is him, respectfully. And I picked Corbin Carroll out of the Diamondbacks for my third person. So, one, he's been raking, and this kid is an absolute, I really like Corbin Carroll. His motor is absolutely insane, and we need more players to play the game like the Corbin Carroll from the Diamondbacks, which they're having a great season. You expect that.
Did they have more losses than the Tigers 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, they lost 115 games.
They were
interesting.
They were worse. They were the worst team in baseball 3 years ago. And now they're decent.
See, when you have a GM that knows what he's doing and has a brain and drafts right, this is the outcome you get. You don't take Spencer Torkelson number one, which to be fair, he was the pick. I'm not gonna be mad at that. But when you draft good players, you get good results. The Reds spent $60,000 and got Ellie De La Cruz, who is insane. I don't know what our scouting department's doing, but when they do their jobs, this is the outcome you get.
Yeah, speaking of Ellie De La Cruz, I specifically wrote down in my notes, I said, I wish that they made an extra place for this guy so he could get votes. Because Ellie De La Cruz, the Reds were on the Tigers level. All of a sudden, the Reds are good, and they could contend in October. Yeah, they literally they were on a 12-game winning streak, and they've averaged the same amount of runs as the Braves. Like that series, has had to combine for the most home runs in just a regular season series in the last 10 years. It had to have. He hit a cycle in his 15th game, which is the
I think he was the youngest player to ever do it.
youngest player to ever do it, and quickest in the shortest amount of games since 1900. Definitely wish that the MLB just said, you know what, we're just putting this guy in, because Ellie De La Cruz is becoming like he's coming up there with Tatis, Acuna, and Shohei and Mike Trout as the faces of the MLB in just 2 weeks. I will make that a case.
He's definitely the face of the Midwest.
Right.
Oh, 100%. I love this kid.
Notice how I said love this kid and not this guy, because he is still he's that young, and he's amazing. Switch hitter. He throws it 100 miles an hour. Hits for power. He's consistent. He hits 280. Hits for power. He's just amazing. Steals bases. He's probably the fastest guy in the league.
Yes.
He's 6'6". He's insane.
He's like
Insane. If you were playing 2K or MLB the Show, and you did your My Career Player,
That's exactly
you
what I
would
was
make
gonna
it Ellie De La Cruz. That's how insane this guy is.
Yeah, dude is 6'6", playing shortstop. 6'6", playing shortstop. Aaron Judge is what, 6'8"? Dude,
corner outfield.
yeah, there's no way Aaron Judge would even stand a chance in the infield. And then you just see how he runs. Ellie De La Cruz, there was literally a bouncing ball to the shortstop, and the shortstop didn't even throw the ball because Ellie De La Cruz was already there.
Baseball Savant has a fun little tracker of all the stats, and he is 30.8 feet per second. That's how fast this guy moves. And I think the next closest is 30.3, and when the numbers are that close, that is a huge jump. He is significantly faster than the second fastest guy in baseball.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Ellie De La Cruz brings, and if he he's brought the Reds to relevance in 10 days. That is absolutely insane.
He's energized that whole city.
Literally, this is Joe Burrow level. For just there was a tweet I read from Kirk Herbstreit, and he said this is the first Reds game he's been to since first moving to Cincinnati. He brought his kid, and he goes, watching it on TV, there were no fans. All of a sudden, 10 days later, the team is above 500, and it is a packed house. They're rocking amazing, beautiful new City Connect jerseys, which they are absolutely insane. And he's putting on a cycle for the guy, for the kids, for everybody.
Oh, that was the Herbstreit game?
It was.
Oh.
And when Kirk Herbstreit comes and says this stadium was worth nothing, the fans were terrible, and to all of a sudden it's a full crowd and the place is electric in 10 days. 10 days. Shout out to Ellie De La Cruz, and keep doing your thing. And the last position that we got to vote on, which sadly we can't vote on pitchers, I wish we could change that, was the designated hitter. And for the designated hitter position for the AL, obviously couldn't get to vote for the second ballot because couldn't vote for the AL because Shohei Ohtani obviously was the top vote getter in the AL. No shocker, totally deserved. Shohei Ohtani is him. And so the DH for the NL will definitely, I bet Bryce Harper will win it, but I voted for JD Martinez. I get that Bryce Harper was hurt at the beginning of the year, but JD's still been the better player, and JD's been better when Bryce has been playing. So, I mean, again, won't be mad if Bryce makes it because I'm kind of expecting it. It's better look for baseball because, Bryce Harper's definitely more known. No Yankee players, and only 2 Dodgers, well, probably 3 with Freddie Freeman. Is happy baseball fans. I don't think there's really any baseball fans that like the Yankees or the Dodgers, and only 1 Astro, of course.
Any Mets?
There's no baseball fans that like the Yankees or the Dodgers.
No, I like
I
like
know-
that like
I know
that.
what you meant. I know what you
Yeah,
meant. I'm just
the
messing.
average the average baseball fan just despises them.
No,
If you're
yeah,
a Dodgers or Yankees fan, you hate them.
For me at least, it's like Duke in basketball. When the Yankees or Dodgers lose, America wins.
Like Bama,
Right.
the last 20 years of my life that I
Right.
haven't been alive for 20 years.
Yeah, and then one Astro, of course. I mean, people respect Yordan Alvarez, which is
They have probably
which
the
is
best
big.
pitcher though.
And then the last thing I just want to say is I definitely wish Julio Rodriguez was in the All-Star game to represent the city of Seattle. I mean, the city of Seattle's kind of irrelevant besides the Seahawks, they're really irrelevant. They want
Kraken. They just made their playoffs in their second ever season. I mean,
shout out to the Seattle Kraken, by the way. And like literally the only reason people think about Seattle is they want a basketball team so bad. And Julio Rodriguez has brought them relevance in baseball. And since the game is in Seattle, I definitely wish that he was in the All-Star game, but I get it. I mean, if you're not that good, you're not going to get the votes. So that's really all I have. I hope the All-Star game's fun, and I hope the pitchers get picked right. I wish we got to vote on them, but those are my picks, and let's have a good All-Star game.
and I think that'll do it. Feel free to let us know how we did. Give some suggestions on what you want to hear about next week. You guys have anything else to say?
Yeah, drop a like and subscribe to see more content. And as Tommy said, give us some suggestions in the comments. Give us anything you want us to talk about. Ask us questions. We're all game.
Absolutely love the first podcast, and I can't wait to record a couple more. We're hoping to record one Friday.
I can't. Friday. So probably not Friday. Maybe this weekend.
I can do a weekend day.
You'll probably get one later this week, and then definitely one next week. So be on the lookout for that. Yes. Anything else you guys want to add?
Just thank you guys for listening.
Vote for the Braves for the All-Star game.
All right, we'll see you guys later.